Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiast. Got a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get right to it. First up on the list, Tesla. Some people actually asked me what the actual numbers were for that first month that they actually turned a profit in the year of 2013. They never released those numbers, but they did release their first quarter numbers, elapsing the entire first 3 months of the year of 2013. Now, let's talk about those numbers. Revenue numbers brought in by Tesla was $561 million. Huge upswing from the last year of 2012, that first 3 months, they only brought in $30 million. Now, their net income came in at $11.2 million, which is way better than the $89 million lost from 2012. Now, operations profit, they didn't make any, so it kind of kills off these numbers. They're not nearly as impressive as they could be. One numbers that were hugely impressive was the units sold for Tesla over the first 3 months of 2013. And mainly this car, the Model S, sold 4,900 units, which blew out of the water what Tesla had forecasted for that month, for those 3 months, that is. Now, if you don't really understand what a lot of these numbers actually mean, you're not alone. I don't 100% know what they mean. But to give a little bit of context to show you what a bigger manufacturer, mainly the smallest manufacturer, at least out of the big three, the Chrysler Corporation, made in that first quarter of 2013, let's give you a little idea of where Tesla is. Tesla brought in $561 million, where Chrysler Group here brought in $15.4 billion. Now, the $11.2 million in net income that they brought in, Tesla did, Chrysler brought in $166 million, and for that same 3 months, Chrysler had a net, or an operation profit, of $1 billion. Now, obviously, we're not comparing apples to apples here. In fact, this is probably beyond apples to oranges. This is probably apples to zebras or something. Chrysler is a big, mainstream, established group that sells tons of units over many different genres and models. So, and the Tesla group only sells 2 different models. So this is not even close to being a comparison. I just wanted to give you a little bit of context on how these numbers are. Now back to Tesla. Those numbers are still pretty impressive. They're steps in the right direction. And any step in the right direction is a good step. So we'll see what Tesla does in the second quarter of 2013. Might see some more improvement nonetheless. So, next up on the list, Aston Martin. Probably one of the best looking automobiles on the planet are Aston Martins. Aston is still all by its lonesome on this big dark world. No big manufacturer tied to it like every other high-end manufacturer there is on the planet. So, Aston's going to reach out their hand. They're actually in early talks with the Daimler Corporation about engines and technical advice or technical know-how. If there's one thing that Mercedes can probably give better than anything, is that technical way. The technical know-how that Mercedes knows over tons of years of building automobiles, especially because if you look at the S-Class Mercedes, every year, every time there's a new generation of these things, there's always some brand new piece of kit that ends up filtering its way down into cars that you and I may own one day. So this may be a hugely perfect fit. Also, the engine side, I'm assuming that Aston Martin's leaning more towards the AMG side of the deal. So this engine thing may work out fantastic for them as well. And Mercedes-Benz and Aston Martin don't really sell vehicles that compete together, unless you want to talk about the SLS. So quite possibly you could go with that direction. Again, these are in very early talks, but we'll keep you in tune if this deal goes through. Next up on the list, Ferrari's in the news. This story came out a couple of days ago, and I still have yet to be able to wrap my brain around it. Ferrari wants to cut production for the year of 2013. In the year of 2012, they sold 7,300 units for the entire year over the entire planet. Now this year, they want to cut those down 300 units and only sell 7,000 units. Their reasoning behind it, why? Well, it's because they want to help customers' residual value. This doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why Ferrari cares what their cars are worth after they have sold them. Remember the Ferrari Enzo? How greedy Ferrari, I guess you could say greedy, that Ferrari was when they were only going to build 300 to 400 units of the Ferrari Enzo. Then ended up building almost 700 units of those because the demand was so great. This situation doesn't make any sense to me. I think Ferrari's got an alternative motive when it comes to this situation. Now, what Ferrari says they want to focus on is more one-offs and more special editions, like the LaFerrari. LaFerrari being sold in a much smaller unit size, but hopefully making much greater profits for the automobile manufacturer. So that's where they want to go into. Now, if you're going to cut production down to 7,000, there you're going to have some people with a lot of time on their hands at the Ferrari factory. Not the case. Ferrari's actually going to increase their people. Actually, 250 brand new employees are going to be brought in, and this is mainly to help with the smaller brand that is Ferrari, which is Maserati. I know I'll probably get some hate mail over that. Maserati, using a little bit of help from them on their brand new V6 that they got coming out soon. Also with some production stuff, as a lot of Ferraris and Maseratis are built on the same line. So, interesting situation when it comes to Ferrari, but I don't believe for a minute that they're worried about residual values of their automobiles. Next up on the list, the other mainstream Italian supercar manufacturer, that is Lamborghini, was having their big party this weekend, as it's actually the 50th Anniversario, or 50th anniversary of Ferrari. Now, this was a huge party. I'm going to have a video up on the Motor Cars Enthusiast Facebook page if you want to check it out over there. That shows a little bit of the setup and stuff of this particular party. Tons of Lamborghinis rolling in, tons of Lamborghini owners, huge parties. It was a pretty big deal going on out in Italy. Also, there's a European journalist down there, Matt Watson, who got a little bit of information that may be interesting. How about this? The Lamborghini Urus, the little SUV that they showed off, I think, at the Geneva Motor Show, would have been, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. And it's been on again, off again, off again, on again for a bunch. Matt Watson, and you can check Matt Watson out on YouTube, does a lot of automotive videos over in Europe, and he is fantastic at it. So he came out and said that at one of the parties, it was announced that this vehicle will reach production in the year of 2015. Now, rumored floated around that this thing could have a hybrid drivetrain. It may have a V10 out of the Gallardo. No real word on what that is, but this vehicle supposedly will be reaching production status in the year 2015, so we'll see what comes of that. Also, this vehicle was shown off. This is the Lamborghini Egoista. Now, Egoista actually roughly translates into selfish, which seems like a weird name for an automobile. Now, the vehicle is this light gray color with the orange. It actually only has one seat for the driver and only can be got in from one side of the vehicle, which is kind of odd. This weird matte gray finish is actually a coating that's all over it, which makes it radar invisible. Much like a fighter jet or a stealth fighter or something like that. And this vehicle was modeled after an Apache attack helicopter. I guess you can see a little bit of that in it. Now, this vehicle is odd in every way, shape, or form. But there is another unconfirmed rumor that I have yet to actually find anywhere else on the web, that this is going to be the star of its own movie. I found this one place, I think it was Motor Enthusiast, I think it came out with this. It's going to be a star of its own movie, which is extremely strange. Well, maybe not extremely strange, but interesting nonetheless. I'm not for sure about this vehicle. No, nor as we get any powertrain options. There's talk that it may have a Gallardo V10. I don't know. We'll see. But interesting piece of kit shown off at the 50th anniversary for Lamborghini. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this week's Motor Cars Enthusiast. If you want to jump on over to the Facebook page, the link's down in the show notes. Take you right over there. You can check out stuff, and that page gets updated daily. Also, if you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time. Get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they're out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.